So we got to do that episode that I've been dreading for at least a week now.
Multiversity.
Actually, no. So I will say in the YouTube only section that I wanted my second read through. Well, so I read a few pieces of Multiversity on the first run through, and I wanted to really enjoy it. I wanted to find redemption the way that you found redemption in Convergence.
Well,
that didn't happen.
To me, this wasn't a redemption kind of book. This was a finality to the 52 universe to show that everything's been put back together and start with rebirth.
That's what you got out of it?
I mean, really, that's kind of what it was. I mean, this. Here's the thing about the multiverse, excuse me, is that it's a what if. No. It's all slightly different versions of the same thing.
Nope.
What was it? Nope. It's all what if, and these are elseworlds.
These are specific 52 realities.
Right, but to me, it's because we're 616. That's the main universe, right? But in in the DC universe, it's Earth 1.
Right.
All right. So
which makes a lot more sense than 616.
Well, but 616 in the Marvel, because there's millions of anyway. So, but it's good in its own way. I think the problem I had with it is the premise was flawed because who cares about why would a comic book infect your universe?
It was so meta, it didn't make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's
record this.
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Because I don't think I can talk about this twice.
Let's get into it.
Let's get past it.
Past it. Into it. Past it. Whatever.
For those of you who are at home watching this on YouTube, who experienced Multiversity, this is when we're going to come together and come past the point of the pain that we felt from Multiversity. I'm just kidding. The multiverse is never going to heal the brain of Grant Morrison. Killed us all. Hi, I'm David.
I'm Kieran.
And we are here today to record DC Continuity piece number 5. And this is Multiversity.
The last of 52.
No, it's not. Because we've still got to do Final Days of Superman. We've got to do Bunny-Eared Batsuit.
Okay.
Which is really what we're going to do next week.
Okay. I thought we already did Bunny-Eared Batsuit.
No, you talked about Bunny-Eared Batsuit, but we didn't read the issues.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So, which also involves the rebirth machine that's really important for Batman. But anyway, Multiversity. Oh my God, I don't know.
So we've seen the characters. Most of these characters, we've seen them in the Convergence. This is post-Convergence.
No. 90% of what's in that book has nothing to do with anything that's ever been seen in the DC universe. President Superman is not Val Zod. That's different.
That's a different Superman?
It is a Superman that comes from a primarily African-American universe. Totally cool with that. Wonderful writing of creating that universe. I like Black Wonder Woman. She's kind of hot. But no. It introduces Uotan. What? No. What's his name? Damn it.
Uotan Nix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is the last of the
super monitors?
Exactly. The monitors.
The super monitors.
Super monitors.
Specifically the super monitors.
So he's the last one left, and basically what's happened is he has been sucked into a vortex of some sort,
and we never really
we never see exactly what's happening with him. We don't really understand why this happened to him, but we do know that there's a greater force, which we know now is probably Dr. Manhattan, has been messing with the multiverse.
So I will credit Multiversity with this. It telegraphed the return of the Watchmen and the return of Dr. Manhattan.
Very much so, yes.
Years before it came to pass.
Yeah.
Now my question is, was Doomsday Clock meant to follow on the heels of this before launching Rebirth?
I don't think it was.
And it got muddled, or did it happen at the time it was meant to?
I think it was meant at the time it was meant to. I think it took a little longer than it meant to because it was supposed to connect to Heroes in Crisis. I think the plan of Heroes in Crisis.
I don't even think Tom King worked for DC at that point.
Well, I think the idea was there. I don't think Heroes in Crisis was Tom King's idea. I think it was someone else's idea.
I totally disagree.
You think it was all Tom King?
If I'm not mistaken, Tom King's an ex-soldier. Or an ex, like in real life, he actually had military service of some sort, or was a spy or something. And maybe I've got his biography wrong. And if so, apologies to Tom King. I don't want to have to do another Liefeld apology. especially given that we got no response on it whatsoever, you asshole. Anyway, so
You heard it here, folks.
yeah, I feel some sort of way about that.
Some sort of way.
Some sort of way. Screw Batman covers drawn by Liefeld. I don't even want them anymore.
Oh,
So
the sadness is, well, okay.
and I would say that we wouldn't buy his Snake Eyes book. He's already going to buy a couple of copies in our name. Ass. Anyway, sorry, I wanted to do that during the apology. So
anyway,
so I think that Tom King wrote a very different perspective. A lot of the people who have written comics over the years have never been through a soldier level trauma. And
PTSD.
I very much feel that these characters would have massive psychological issues from people they failed to save, for surviving things that other people weren't able to survive.
Yeah.
I think what he captured in Heroes in Crisis, and I'm not somebody who has those scars, so I'm not speaking from personal experience by any means, but those, I think that story was well conceived and well written, and if Tom King didn't plan it, Tom King was a perfect dude to write it. And part of the reason I will be a Tom King fan
he's amazing
in
writer.
perpetuity.
I mean, he's phenomenal.
I cared more about Heroes in Crisis than I even did his Batman run, and there were pieces of his Batman run that are some of my favorite Batman ever.
So, getting back to Multiversity.
Do we have to?
That's where we started.
I tried everything to derail it.
So, essentially, we have this character from a comic book who his existence is destroying parts of the multiverse. And what's happening is the heroes from a lot of these multiverses are being sucked into a bleed space. And the bleed space basically is protecting them, but they need to figure out how to get where they need to go. And they need to figure out how to stop this and get Nick Suotan back, or Nick. They need to figure out how to get him back, but they also need to figure out how to save the multiverse at the same time. What they don't know is that the comic book is destroying things, but really, is it the comic book that's the confusing part.
It's so meta, it hurts your brain.
And the character, what's the character's name? Immortal.
The Immortal Man.
Immortal. Well, the Immortal Man is from one of the universes, but the character who comes through that's from the comic book.
Oh, Ultraman.
Ultraman. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
you see the covers of all the other issues and all these different stories, and I don't remember how many damn issues it was. Was it 52?
And it's funny. No,
they put them out really fast.
But what's funny is this Ultraman character. He's not a villain. He's a good guy. But the comic they have him in, where he's captured and he's being tortured, it is the campiest of campy Golden Age style books. Like, oh no, how dare you! And it's this. It is
that voice again.
It is no.
Come on,
No
one more
one say
time.
that again. So
Do it one more time.
No. So
Rob Liefeld's an ass. Say it. Come on. Do it with your hands on your hips.
So,
Come on.
So no hands on hips. So anyway, people are insane. You know that, right?
I'll save you.
Only if I can do a Levi's commercial. Well, I felt the Levi's commercial.
He did?
Yeah, back in the 90s. It was bad.
They thought it was Matt Damon.
Yeah, they thought it was Matt Damon. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, the book, it isn't completely nonsensical, but the parts I love about it are the what-if parts, are the
Dr. Fate. The Dr. Fate universe where Vandal Savage is a good guy.
Yeah, he's
calls
Immortal
himself
Man.
the Immortal Man.
Yeah.
And the Atom is this plucky little kid in a cardigan. Like, what's up with the cardigan there?
The Atom clearly is Dr. Manhattan. I mean, he's got the Manhattan logo. I mean, he clearly is Dr. Manhattan. So I think my favorite parts are the world where Hitler won because Superman landed in Germany.
The Clear Watchmen reboot.
Oh yeah.
That was the question as Rorschach. And
oh yeah.
That was so well done.
Oh yeah.
And Captain Atom there was clearly Dr. Manhattan.
Exactly.
And he takes apart the dog, and they're like, my daughter loved that dog as much as you did. You didn't have to kill it.
Well, then we have a whole universe where the children of the heroes are now heroes, but they're all bored because there's nothing to do.
Because Superman set up a bunch of robots to keep the world safe.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much cured everything.
I hated that, but it was clearly the Watchmen piece.
Oh, you talking about the Blue Beetle and all that?
Yeah, Pax Americana.
Pax Americana. Blue Beetle is essentially Owlman in this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same
Well, I
company.
mean, because Owlman was Blue Beetle in
The Thunderworld Adventures.
Thunderworld was fun.
Yeah. Had the.
There were parts of this where Grant Morrison was clearly writing characters he'd always wanted to write that were fun. The source book and this image of the actual structure of the New 52 were pretty great in all of that, and kind of gives you the idea that what's outside of the monitor sphere is us.
So we need to. What I'd like to do, and basically this book breaks the fourth wall so many times, more than a Deadpool book normally does. So what I'd like to do is we'll try to find on our
More
Facebook
than
page.
Soundwave ever has.
Not really. I'm gonna try to find the map of the multiverse and put it up on our Facebook page. I'm sure there's a map somewhere out there that we can find online.
Guys, if you're feeling like we're not explaining Multiversity well, I would challenge you to explain it better.
So the best part about this is the guidebook, though. So we've got Earth 0 all the way through Earth 52.
Which Earth 0 is the New 52 universe and
Exactly.
identifies itself as New Earth.
Right.
Really important. That doesn't exist anymore.
Nope. Doesn't exist. So Earth 1, or Earth Prime, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
that's the current universe that we see from Rebirth.
Mhm.
So that's what's been remerged. But they've got really cool stuff. I mean, this is
So,
again what I love about
It
this.
talks again about Earth 2, which we
Yeah.
talked about in Convergence and all that good stuff.
Earth 3.
Earth 3 is
being
Crime Syndicate.
Yeah.
It's
Earth,
the evil Earth.
Earth 4, clearly, I mean, come on, man. That is the Watchmen universe as Rebirth. It's got to be. But it's
Well, and my question is
because it's Silk Spectre and Owlman,
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Manhattan, Rorschach, and the comedian.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
no doubt.
So-
My question is, and having the comedian assassinate JFK was
Yeah,
so
that was
implied,
fantastic. Oh, yeah.
so implied, and then having it done here. I mean, Pax Americana.
They did this. There are parts of this book that are literally phenomenal. There's other parts you're like, the hell?
What the hell?
Well, and here's the thing. At the very end, I mean, not to skip ahead too much, but at the very end, we have this fantastic group of heroes. This is the Operation Justice Incarnate, right? Which we have never seen again.
And won't.
No, we probably won't.
Captain Carrot.
Yep.
Mary Marvel.
Yep.
The really goofy futuristic version of Batman. Female Aquaman.
Yeah. Mira.
A clearly robot from the Invincible universe.
And this is the
No, I have no idea
That's Johnny
who
Quick.
this is. Johnny Quick.
Yeah. Martian Manhunter.
Eben Sur.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Abin Sur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Thunderer,
Yeah.
who is just this aborigine version of Thor.
Yeah.
So much Marvel could have sued for this. It was like, Grant Morrison's like, how do I bring all of the Marvel universe into... What if it was the start of the Secret Crisis?
I'm telling you, the Secret Crisis has been going on for a long time. This was the trigger.
There was clearly a Mr. Fantastic. There was
Oh,
clearly
yes.
a Doctor Doom.
Oh, yeah.
There was clearly Thor, but it was the Aboriginal version of Thor, Thunderer. And it was so bad. It was so terribly bad. But in a fun way. Like, it was... I texted Garen at one point in time and was like,
Do I have to read this?
dude, you don't have to read all of this. I'm not sure I could stomach. And that's a bad way to feel, given that, you know, I'm used to reading 15 books a week. And I've really enjoyed the research for New 52. And
Well, here's the thing. This was kind of the exception to the rule because it's all over the place. There's not... And here's the funny thing. So when I hear people still talk about how much they didn't like Convergence, I think what they're really talking about is how much they didn't like
Multiversity. Yeah.
Because Convergence... Now, here's the thing. Convergence, the main story... You know, once you reread it, it does make a whole lot more sense.
And there are long-lasting implications
Right.
that come out of Convergence.
Right.
What's the long-lasting implication of Multiversity?
None.
What's the character that sticks around after it's over?
None.
What's the big takeaway you need?
I mean, there's
Grant
no...
Morrison got permission to do what Grant Morrison wanted to do. And for you Grant Morrison fans out there, I would bet Dr. Dale Disney enjoyed parts of Multiversity.
Yeah.
I enjoyed parts of Multiversity. I like Grant Morrison be given a blank check with a major universe to do what he wants to do with it. Again, he is and he wrote it. I've been trying to formulate it, but he wrote it. And when I read this, I realized it. He is the Dr. Savannah to Alan Moore's Shazam the Wizard.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is.
Yeah.
He's overcoming magic with science.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. Oh, and Dr. Zavanna played a huge part in
And
this,
he was
too.
bald.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not
I
real.
know!
It's Dr. Savannah writing comics!
So...
And now I have to have Shazam save me when he shows up
So
to kill
now
me.
we have to have a Mr. Mind somewhere. So, interesting. I'd like to see an intelligent worm that can... Anyway, so... Multiversity...
That had a lot of innuendo in my head.
So, Multiversity was a... It was a big book. I mean, $30, this is a big book, but you do get a lot of information. Now, again, my favorite part, again, is
I think there were 2 parts of each little
Yeah.
multiversal piece. And they didn't do all 52 universes.
No.
They picked the ones listed
well,
here.
there are a lot of here that are unknown universes. And my
Yeah.
guess is one of them is the Watchmen universe. There's...
I don't know. I'm starting to think it's Earth 4.
Well, I mean, could be or could just be an
Well,
aberration.
at that point in time, DC Vertigo, which is what that was under, was not a part of the main continuity from a publishing perspective.
But they were bringing it in.
Right.
And you could tell they're bringing it in just by the characterizations in these books.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
This was the just the tip moment.
well,
This was taking a deep breath before we slid into the next
just
thing.
the tip.
Yeah.
So, I think the great thing about this is we do see the multiple universes, and it does give us the groundwork for whatever they want to do next.
Yeah.
Because honestly, there will be more multiversal stuff. We just don't know how or when. And now with all the potential cutting books and this, we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I will say reading Green Lantern and this in the same week, that may have been why Green Lantern hit me so hard. I was like...
Just literally hurt your feelings.
I'm more connected to the Wizard Shazam. I'm too much of the magic universe. The science is killing me.
So, definitely highly recommend Convergence at this point. But and here's the thing: so if you are a completionist, which a lot of people are, and you want to have a complete picture, then yeah, you do need Multiversity. There are things in here you're going to want to read because you're going to see what happens next.
If you had permission to skip one thing published in this continuity, Multiversity is it.
Yeah.
Not because you don't love Grant Morrison, but because there are no universal implications.
It's not something you have to make anything make sense.
Now, if we get Multiversity Part 2 somewhere down the road, you may regret not having it on your shelf. But right now, there is no part of continuity that really matters.
Well, and there's no Elseworlds.
No.
None. No. That's the one thing that's disappointing, that there's no Elseworlds that they've talked about. So there's nothing new coming.
Now, I guess, hold on. The map of the New 52 universe for Multiversity did show up somewhere. It showed up in Dark Knight's Metal and was explained.
It does. You're right.
Explained that the Dark universe
is a mirror.
Interacts with that. So you at least need to read the Multiversity guidebook and see the map.
Sure.
To have that reference for Metal.
Yeah.
But other than that,
well,
nothing else.
And by the way, the books we read this week, all the DC books are all talking about Dark Knight's Metal. There's actually an interview with Scott Snyder about Dark Knight's Heavy Metal.
Death Metal.
Dark Knight's Death Metal, yeah.
So they were going to do Heavy Metal, but it was just going to be all the superheroes overweight. And so they decided not to do that. They called it Death Metal.
So, anyway.
I mean, I would love to see, like, Pudgy Aquaman. Fat Flash would be my favorite comic of all time. Like, that's the superhero I want to be. I want to be 350 pounds, but able to run at Mach 5.
So that's it for this week. Pretty much, that's what we got going on. Next week we have some pretty cool stuff coming. We're gonna do.
You said coming.
Well, next week we're gonna talk. I think one of the fun things we're gonna do is we're gonna talk a little bit about some what if scenarios that we have. So yeah, we're gonna have some scenarios that'll be kind of fun. So
okay.
But
apparently we're doing a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. So you guys have a great week. We appreciate you listening as always, and we'll see you again soon.
Okay, love you. Bye.